Hey guys, Tierra here with Dog Girl Fitness, and today's video is all about my hip surgery at age 26. So before we get started, as I say in all of my videos, I'm Dr. Tierra Range, a new pediatric resident physician who makes videos about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness. If this sounds like something you may enjoy watching, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how does somebody end up needing a hip surgery at age 26 when most people end up not needing surgeries like that until they're in their late 50s, 60s, or 70s? Well, I have quite a story to tell you. It all started when I was a third-year medical student. I used to run 4 to 5 miles a day. I was incredibly active. I was an avid participant in the Insanity program by Shaun T, and in general, I was just a very active person. I took fitness very seriously, and I was very independent, but I started to notice that after my longer runs, I would have hip pain. And then I noticed that I was having hip pain as time went by, even with my shorter runs. So I had to scale back from 4 to 5 miles to 2 to 3, and then 1 to 2, and then about a half a mile before I would start having hip pain. As time went on, it hurt to even have long periods of time during the day when I would be walking. So I saw an orthopedic surgeon. The first orthopedic surgeon I saw thought I had a labral tear. The way that your hip is made up, you have basically a labrum here, and you have your hip on top of it, and your labrum and your hip are supposed to be like this. When you have a tear, they kind of spread apart like this. The first way to manage it is non-operatively, with physical therapy and with an occasional steroid injection in your hip. I did 12 weeks of physical therapy, and I had a hip injection, and it kind of rehabilitated me by the time I was a fourth-year medical student, to the point to where I was at least not walking with a limp. Because at the worst point of it, I was walking with a pretty significant limp, and I had to use a cane when I was getting around the hospital. After physical therapy, I didn't really need to use a cane anymore, and I was walking without a limp. And even though I was having pain, it was manageable with over-the-counter NSAIDs. Then fourth year came along. I tried to go ahead and just get through it as much as possible. And then the pandemic happened. I matched into residency. And then when I started residency, I had to pick up the pace a lot. I had to walk a lot more often. And keep in mind, during this time, I still had not really been able to run anymore. I really had to scale back my activity level, which was pretty devastating to me because that's how I was able to stay so fit and so healthy. I would scale back my portion sizes, but I did notice that I was having some weight gain, and I was doing everything I could to control that. But regardless, I'm still making it through. But by the time residency started, I was having significant pain, and I was living in a different city at this point, so I decided, let me get fresh new eyes, a fresh new orthopedic surgeon, to look at my information, to look at my data, to look at my x-rays, to look at my MRIs, and see what they could come up with. The entire point of visiting this orthopedic surgeon was to inquire if he could get me back involved in physical therapy, because I noticed that the physical therapy helped a lot before. And this surgeon very politely told me that no matter how much physical therapy I got, and no matter how many more hip injections I got, it was all going to be a band-aid for a larger issue. And he asked me if I'd ever been told that I had developmental dysplasia of the hip. Now, as a pediatric resident, I know a lot about developmental dysplasia of the hip because it is a pediatric issue. Developmental dysplasia of the hip is a condition that people are usually born with. It used to be called congenital dysplasia of the hip, but now they are realizing that it can actually develop over time, and not everybody is born with it. Regardless, most people present with developmental dysplasia of the hip as an infant. And there are some physical exam findings that you can do to look for this hip dysplasia. And if you find it, then you can do a hip ultrasound. And if it shows what you're looking for, then you can manage it with some non-operative managements, mostly because children have very malleable joints and bones because they're young and they're still growing. What is hip dysplasia? Basically, it's whenever the area of your hip that's supposed to cover your femur head is too shallow to cover the entire femur head. So if this is the femur head And this is supposed to be covering the entire femur head. In somebody with hip dysplasia, it may only cover a small amount of it. And then whenever you bear weight on that hip, you are bearing weight on the hip in a way that is uncomfortable because it doesn't have full coverage from what's called the acetabulum, or the area of the hip that's supposed to cover the femur entirely. As I said before, when this is caught in a child, the typical treatment is called a Pavlik harness. And it's basically this harness that you place babies in that has their legs in almost like a frog-like position, and it kind of creates a mold shape for the femur to fit into the acetabulum perfectly. And they'll stay in it for a while, and afterwards they're cured. But the older you get without this being caught, the more invasive the options are for managing the hip dysplasia. By the time you're somebody my age, the only way to fix it is operatively. And because this is a pediatric issue, this adult orthopedic surgeon explained to me that there was no way for him to fix this issue, and he referred me instead to a pediatric orthopedic surgeon. The pediatric orthopedic surgeon did some measurements for me, one of which being the lateral center of edge angle. The lateral center of edge angle measures from the edge of your acetabulum to the center of your femoral head, and this measurement is supposed to show how much coverage you have of your joint. If you have a degree angle that is anywhere less than 108 degrees, you have a 100% chance of developing hip arthritis and requiring a hip replacement by your early 30s. My degree was 106, so I have a 100% chance of developing hip arthritis, and I was told that I required this surgery to correct the dysplasia, and if I didn't have it now, then in several years I would require a hip replacement while in my 30s. So this was pretty devastating to hear for somebody that's 26 years old, but all you can do is take the information you've been given and move forward with it, and that's what I did. I required the surgery on both hips, but because my left hip hurts a lot more often than my right hip does, we started with my right hip, because the orthopedic surgeon I saw does not do both hips at the same time. The surgery that I got was a labral tear repair, followed by a periacetabular osteotomy. A periacetabular osteotomy involves them cutting the part of your pelvis that's supposed to be covering the femoral head, and then he rotated it so that it would cover as much of the femoral head as possible, and then drilled it back in place with 4 screws. The recovery time is pretty extensive. In total, 6 weeks without any weight being bared on the leg that was operated on, where for short distances I can use a walker or crutches, and for long distances I can use a wheelchair. And after that, 6 weeks with weight bearing, but still with the use of crutches for support. In total, the amount of time that it really takes to recover from a surgery like this is about 3 to 4 months. And after the first 6 weeks without weight bearing, it requires a lot of intensive physical therapy. I had my surgery about 5 or 6 days ago, and today's video is going to take you through my first several days after the surgery, and at the end I'll kind of explain to you what I plan to do with my channel moving forward. So, I hope you enjoy.
Everybody was nice. Somebody was really nice, and they put their hand on my forehead nicely. And I remember inhaling this medication, and
the next thing you knew, surgery was over.
Before rounds in the morning, I usually have breakfast taco, banana.
She must be hungry.
And latte.
Hey guys, so I am post-op and now officially non-groggy and non-out of it. The surgery was this morning. They rolled me back at around like 7:50. According to my family, the operative time altogether was about 4.5 hours. And then altogether, like with, anesthesia and all the other stuff, I was back in the PACU, or the area, like the recovery area, by around 3:15ish.
It was a long day. I had a periacetabular osteotomy and a labral tear repair. And so the labral tear was repaired first, and then afterwards they did the periacetabular osteotomy. All in all, I feel pretty good right now. When I first got out of the procedure, I was in a lot of pain, but they very quickly were able to correct that for me, and it's been very manageable since then. They have me in this cool little device thing where they basically have like my leg constantly moving, and I'll have this the entire time I'm in the hospital, and then when I get out, I'll be manually doing it myself throughout the day, multiple times throughout the day. And then I also have an incentive spirometer, as would anyone after a major procedure, and that's basically just a machine. It's a handheld machine. I can't reach it right now, but it's a handheld machine where you breathe into it, you inhale, and you do it to reach a certain threshold or level. And basically you're doing this so you can expand your lungs, and the point of doing it is to prevent atelectasis, which is something that can be caused whenever you have poor inhalation and exhalation, poor lung expansion, and it can lead to fevers postoperatively. And to avoid all of that, I just have to do the incentive spirometer 10 times at a time, inhaling as much as I can. And then they want me to do that 10 times at a time, every hour. I'm just kind of relaxing now. Today, I don't have to do anything but just lay here and kind of rest. And then starting tomorrow, I will be having physical therapy come by, and they're going to have to get me out of bed. I'm having my catheter removed tomorrow. Yay. And yeah, aside from that, it's just going to be kind of like getting me mobile and getting me used to kind of like walking around a little bit. I've had some friends come by, which has been really sweet. One friend came by and brought me a teddy bear, and somebody else came by and brought me a card. One of the chief residents brought me a card. And I think that's, one of the benefits of being at a program that is non-malignant and very supportive of their residents. He came by after a long day at work at like 7 o'clock at night, just to stop by and hand me a card and to ask how I was doing and see if I was okay. For those of you out there who are looking for a program to attend, try to attend a program where people can be like that, where people just support you and know how to be there for you. It's hard to find, but it's definitely possible. But yeah, I just wanted to give an update. I'm going to try and give an update as often as I can. If possible, every day would be nice. If not every day, maybe every week throughout this recovery. So, all right.
Hey guys, so it is officially hospital day 4. I spent 3 nights in the hospital. The plan was originally to spend 2 nights, 3 days, but I ran into some complications yesterday with just kind of overdoing it the day before. I tried to push myself a little too hard, and then I was in a pretty significant amount of pain, and I was also having a lot of dizziness, and they just wanted me to have a couple of more physical therapy sessions in person before they sent me on my way. So that's what I did. But the plan is to go home this morning after one more physical therapy session. I've had some visitors come by and bring these absolutely gorgeous flowers. Somebody brought me this card. Some people brought me some balloons. I had some people bring me like cookies and things like that. It's just been really sweet having visitors and stuff like that. And then the physical therapist yesterday, she was like, you know, you should try and rehabilitate yourself to the point of like putting on real clothes. So I have real clothes on now. And I feel ready. This machine that I'm using that's kind of oscillating my foot that I talked about the last time we talked, it won't be going home with me because they're in such short supply that they're usually only saved for people who have hip replacements. And since my surgery was not a hip replacement, but instead the short name for it is called a hip preservation surgery, I won't be going home with it. So instead they're going to give me some exercises to go home with to do when I'm sitting up in bed. And then of course it's always encouraged that I, you know, get out of bed and sit up as often as possible. Also, I won't be going home with these blood pressure cuffs that are on my feet that are supposed to help prevent deep vein thromboses. So instead, I'm going to be going home with aspirin, and I'm going to be going home with some compression socks to kind of help keep the blood flow going strong in my legs and my calves. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Today's going to be a really big day because I had this surgery in the city where I'm doing residency, but I can't take care of myself for this procedure. After this procedure, the recovery is just, it's too big, and it's not something you can do by yourself. That's kind of where I'm at. I feel good. Even when I have my days where I'm in pain, I can tell that I get stronger each and every day. If there's something that I could recommend for people at this point that they may want to consider doing prior to surgery, just like maybe do some kind of like tricep dips and push-ups and things like that, because, you know, my exercises of choice before all of this all happened was just a lot of leg work, a lot of running, but I never was big into like doing any work with my arms. But whenever one of your legs is completely immobile and you cannot bear any weight on it, you have to use your arms to lift your entire body to hop on one leg. And so it's been a really big struggle for me, and my arms hurt all the time, just because I'm not used to that. So I know I'll get the hang of it eventually, but if I could recommend anything to anybody prior to surgery, you may want to work a little bit on your arm strength so it's not as difficult. My appetite is better. For the first couple of days I really wasn't eating much food, but a lot of people have been bringing me like cookies and things like that, and so when I get hungry I eat. When I'm not hungry I don't really eat much of anything, but I end up eating at least like one good meal a day. And you know, the better your appetite is, the better, because they have you on medication to help with your pain, but it will give you an upset stomach if you don't eat anything with it. So that's pretty much the update for today. I think the next time I update you all, I'll be back in my hometown trying to figure out how to move around in that space. I'm looking forward to it, but anticipating some challenges, so I'll make sure to update you with whatever challenges I face at that time. All right, guys. So that's how it's been so far with my recovery. I received physical therapy starting one day after my surgery, and it was very intense, but I learned a lot, and I learned how to get around with the help of my family. I'm currently with my family, and they're taking care of me. They're taking very, very good care of me. And I'm sure you hear the chimes in the background. It's probably one of the most peaceful and calming environments I could be in for a pretty stressful and tough recovery. For anybody that's going through this surgery, I just want you to know that you can do it. It is tough, but it's very doable. And just know that you will require a lot of support and a lot of help. And I also strongly recommend that you lean heavily on your faith, because God can carry you through this, as He will carry you through all things. Today was a good day for me. I was able to successfully use the walker to get around my house, to make it to the bathroom on my own, and then the best part of the day was the fact that my wheelchair finally came in, so I can use the wheelchair to get around for any longer distances and try to improve with my level of independence. So that's pretty much it for this video, since I've taken you through about the first week or so of my recovery. What I want to do is now post about twice a week. This video is going out on Sunday, but from now on I think I'll pick a weekday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, to start posting updates about my recovery from the surgery. And then my Sunday videos will be my usual videos where I talk to you all about whatever you all need to know about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness. Thank you all so much for your excellent feedback. I've been getting tons of requests for videos, and I really appreciate it, and I will make sure to get to all of them in the coming weeks. So make sure to look for those. And in the meantime, thanks so much for tuning in. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or just want to chat, make sure to let me know in the comments section below. And if you like videos about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.